publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and to every nook and cranny receiving the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter into what we'll start calling Howard boxes, another name for the radio, that analog thing that receives those signals and give you all the messages, news, and music that you want to hear. Of course, good morning to the world. Thank you to the great internet created by we the people under the ARPANET project back in the yay days. Remember, folks, the billionaires that are manipulating and controlling the internet and allowing those who fail or those who succeed, or deciding who can fail or succeed online. They didn't do it. You did. So therefore, at some point in time, we will take it. You remember that thing the Tea Party used to talk about? Take it back? Well, yeah. We the people are going to take back that which was taken from us. We'll take it back. And how do we do that? Well, that's what this whole program is about. How we remember that we're already empowered. That's what we're all about here. Anyhow, before further ado, let's go to El Señor Howard Reynolds is Jacques Van Bever, the geniuses in the studios.
Oh, I think
Caroline.
if your intro gets any longer, I'm going to be taking a nap toward the top of the hour. Here it is, Wednesday morning at the radio. Oh yeah, go ahead, man. It's your show.
I'm saying you're sitting down there, just waiting to see when do I get. I have this to say. No. I know you're not sleeping. You're like, I gotta say this. I gotta say this. I gotta say that. Talk to me, my brother.
Okay, well, that 4 o'clock in the morning comes awfully early, as you know. Okay, exciting times here at the radio, and we're going to have something really cool coming up here this morning. It's the General Manager's Report on U-Talk with Sandy Weinman. He's going to come in and take over U-Talk and give you a General Manager's Report, financial and all the rest of that stuff, and all the good things that are going on down here, because we don't really talk about the bad things that happen here. But anyway, something fun also coming up on Sunday under the volcano. Clint Broussard will be there from 5 until 7 live in person. We're going to be doing a remote from there, where the Blues and Hi-Fi will come to you live from a remote location, a secret remote location that's over on Morningside and Bissonnet, I think it is. And there's Thursday, the 26th, Christian's Tailgate will be lit up with R&R from 1 until 3. And it's the Radio Hall of Fame show, where all the nominees have gotten in, and I think the nominees have gotten in, and they're going to have a lot of special guests there. Dana Steele from KLOL will be there. Pam Ivy, I heard him talking about it yesterday. Pam Ivy, and I know Pam. I've worked with her many times over the years. So it's going to be a very exciting time. We've got some stars to come out, and not just Ronnie and Tom. So it's going to be a good time. That is Christian's Tailgate on Thursday, the 26th, from 1 until 3 with R&R. And other than that, I was thinking yesterday about the inflation. Inflation is down and such. And you told me how it works. But, your average person, your common average person, looks at the stuff that they used to buy for $2 and now it's $5. And they don't think inflation's down. They think, well, goodness, these prices are still inflated. How can they say inflation is down? That is how the general public sees inflation. How much money has to come out of their pocket, continuing to come out of their pocket. When you've got a $5 price tag on something that was $2, the public doesn't understand. They say, oh yeah, inflation is down, but the prices are not down where it really counts. So that is my rant for today and information for today. And Jack, it looks like you got a darn full page of wisdom over there.
half a page.
Half a page?
Half a page.
Oh, you're just using the bottom half of the page.
Yeah,
Okay.
just using that. I had something else written up top.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see
Oh,
that.
good morning, Egberto.
Buenos dias, hermano. Talk to me. What's the word of the day?
Hey, this is going to be about the vote, especially the women's votes. I hope the women are especially the younger women are paying attention, and I know you are, to the rhetoric the conservative right is putting out, demonizing women's reproductive rights, demonizing the doctors who perform and deliver care for women's reproductive health. You see with your eyes that the conservative right is attempting to subjugate and oppress women. Now, ladies, vote your interests. Make this election a statement with your vote and claim your rights to reproductive health care.
Oh, they're out there. They're listening. They're watching. They're seeing what's going on.
Now vote. We
Especially,
need you. We
especially the
need you.
younger ones. You know, the younger women are looking at this and going, "Hey, wait a minute."
They're not telling me what I'm going to do with my body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's just the first step.
Vote
You know,
them out.
vote them out exactly. But you know, women are the most wonderful forces on earth, and they're the most terrible forces on earth. There doesn't seem to be
Hey,
any. Well, they can be. They ordinarily are not, but they can be. Oh boy,
do you
I
want to
have
get me in
stories.
trouble?
Hey,
No, I'm the one saying it.
yes.
You're not going to get in trouble. I'm going to see a bunch of women protesters down here at the station at the gate going, are you Egberto Willies? Oh, no, no, I'm Jack Van Bever. Being radio, you can't tell, you know.
I tell you, man. Hey, Jack, you see what he's gonna do to you, man. But hey, we got a great program,
Throw me
guys.
under the bus.
Ah, yeah.
That is
Back,
funny. That was funny. You
back to
he
your
he
cranny,
gets
Jack.
he gets people in trouble, and then he calls himself Jack Van Beba. Hey, Jack.
Yep.
So what's up? Anything else out of that, sir? But
No, I just was I was reading your post on Tom Hartman this morning, and that was quite a post. I really enjoyed that.
yeah, Tom is a great guy, man. You know, actually, anytime I interview Tom, I learn something. I'll probably play that on Friday or Monday. But every time I interview him, I learn a lot because again, there is some stuff that I've been, I'm glad you brought that up, Jack. Let me just say this: Tom and we had a solid interview yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? I don't remember which one it was. And we were talking about the tariffs, and while I understand the reason for tariffs, right? We always had tariffs, and when Reagan came, he dropped most of the tariffs way down, et cetera, et cetera. And that started the flight of American business, I mean, manufacturing away, et cetera, et cetera. And what Tom did in that interview is he gave a good explanation as far as why tariffs are important and why it's, that of all the candidates, when Donald Trump came and did tariffs, while his reason for tariffs has little to do with the real reason for having them, he just wants to get tax dollars to give back, the regressive tax where we, the people, are going to pay that tax and the rich folks will get a tax break. If implemented correctly, what it really does is it prevents you from losing your manufacturing base. And he gave a good explanation based on not only facts but history of how it worked. And uh, I saw the reason for us to gradually start increasing tariff, not like what Trump is doing, but gradually increasing it as we do two things. One, give the security to the American business people that this is going to be policy going forward so that factories gets constructed and we start to create manufacturing again, but at the same time that we don't leave the Bangladeshis of the world, the Vietnams of the world in dire straits because they built an economy on their cheap labor serving us. In other words, it takes a policy. It's not just increasing tariffs for the sake of increasing tariffs. One of the important things Tom was telling me is he said, "Remember, Egberto, I hear what you say, but remember this: a well implemented tariff doesn't really create any extra revenue for the government, because the idea is the tariff is there to curb behavior. In other words, if the prices of those things that would otherwise be imported are higher than the ones manufactured in your country, and guess what? Technically speaking, they should be higher, right? Because if we had two labor forces and those two labor forces were paid equitably, right? And assuming the cost of living were similar, then bringing an imported product into your country has some extra costs associated with it. That extra cost being transportation, that extra cost being management of the uh, uh, supply chain management, etc. So again, it's a long subject beyond the scope of what we're going to talk about right now, but it is something that we have to look at intelligently. And after Tom and I spoke about it, I said, you know what? Maybe we need to not change what I'm saying about tariffs, but change the narrative of how they need to be implemented. So, like I said, that's why it's always good to talk to a whole lot of folks, hear a whole lot of sides, so that one can come to the best sort of decisions. And that is what happened in our conversation that we had uh, either yesterday or the day before. Anyhow, the title of the show is A Winning Economic Agenda for Kamala Harris. Tax, and then I have two videos, and I think I'm going to start with the videos: taxes versus investment, and a dog and cat limerick. And the reason I'm starting with these two videos is these two videos not are actually from our callers, from our listeners. This came the first Saturday of every month. I have a program called Ask Egberto Anything, where the people who are part of what we call the PDR posse, that's all of you, call in and say, okay, I'm going to call you, and we do a Zoom, and you ask me whatever the hell you want to ask me, and we go ahead and talk. And I have what we call the PDR poet laureate. He always creates limericks. And the cat and dog story that we have going along right now. Well, we have one of our brother PDR posse members. He just wrote a limerick for it, and he ended our program on Saturday with a limerick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that video right now. Every first Saturday of the month, the audience of Politics Done Right, also known as the PDR Posse, meet to discuss things where the audience get to ask anything of Egberto. And if we're lucky, we also get the honor of listening to Tom Zornick, our poet laureate, with his latest limerick.
Trump claims he's a winner who never loses. Those who cry no, of crimes he accuses. Haitians, he says, will eat your cat and other pets. MAGA responds with dangerous bomb and death threats. When the latest weird conspiracy theory Trump chooses, fantasy with reality, the right wing often confuses.
Any questions? I thought that was funny. So I mean, that's Tom Zornick. He's out there I think the upper in Michigan, and he was complaining about the temperature, but he writes limericks for the show all of the times, and this was one of a recent one he did. He also does some long ones. I guess we'd call them combination limericks, etc. The other Was there somebody saying something? I missed some. I guess not. All right. Anyhow, folks, we have another one that kind of made me want to get business. We started talking about taxes, and one of our PDR posse members was talking to another PDR posse members. He's on the left. The other part PDR posse member is on the right, and he wanted to give him a little bit of schooling on taxes versus investment. So let me go ahead and play that one, and then we'll take it on the other side. You know, the first Saturday of every month, the audience for Politics Done Right, affectionately known as the PDR Posse, we meet and we talk over Zoom, and it's called Ask Egberto Anything, where they can ask me, the host of the program, just about anything that they want to ask. But what I always find fascinating, it's always sort of a combination of educating each other. And today, May Wood, one of our regulars, he had something to say to another one of our more conservative listeners, something that made sense and gives a different perspective to how we should look at taxes that are used to educate, taxes that are used to heal, taxes that are used to build infrastructure, etc. It's not the same kind of spending as it is dropping a bomb. I want you to listen to May Wood, who makes an excellent point that I hope every single average Joe Blow would start to see, because if they could see it deep within, we could make changes in the country, because we would start supporting politicians, not with the demagoguery of lower taxes all the time, but with saying we're going to have taxes and spending and in such a manner that it actually builds something we can build on, instead of something that we're just throwing up ladder to the wealthy in the forms of tax cuts and policies that support them and not us. Listen to Maywood. Come on in, Maywood.
I just want to remind Eric that there is a big difference between making an investment and making an expense. And let's face it, more military spending when we already spend 6 times more than the next 6 governments combined is a spending. That money never comes back. But when we make investments, like spending on roads, spending on schools, spending on education, these are things that pay us back. We gain from those kinds of investments. Wow. It's not spending. So, we got to the moon because we started investing in higher education, sending people to schools for very little or no expense. But when they started going, oh, we got to stop doing this and stop the spending, and they're getting all these protests, with Ronald Reagan and those guys. And suddenly now, look, we're suffering. Everybody else in the world has universal health care and free education, and they're beginning to take us over. And where did they get those ideas? From us. I also want to remind him that universal health care and all that was a conservative Republican policy. When what's her name there ran on it, she was actually running on a Republican platform from 1968. That was the Republican platform. So, a conservative Republican platform.
Thank you very much, Maywood. Let me again, Maywood, member of the PDR Posse, and he gets it. And he absolutely gets it. I love when folks, we get a lot of good chatter in there where people get a chance to give their opinions right out. Okay, well, it seems like we got a caller already. And by the way, folks, the number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. And I have Jacob on the line. Jacob, come on in, my brother.
Lessons in AM. Southpaw say to the Haitians. That's what's up in Creole. Now, I got a question for you now. And listening to the radio AM and FM, you got your people on the right make you just really don't even like Trump. They in it now. Their motives and what they talk about is crazy, and they thinking that the country don't like them, this and that, and they bring up a lot of racist stuff. Then you got the left. The left, the extremes on both sides. The left, they want to welcome everybody in and this and that, and the way y'all frame it as women's choice to choose their bodies. Now, me, I'm a conservative. I believe in no abortions, period, unless under certain things. And yeah, it's a female's choice. Yeah, but if she having a baby by, if it's a man, it should be a together choice then. Yeah, she had to birth it, but if you killing my child like it happened to me in Planned Parenthood, even though I was young, kind of young at the time, and the girl went and it was her body and it was her choice, and she went and killed my kids. I didn't have nothing to do with it. So men should have something to do with that also. So it's not like and of course they did it for one of them go to school or go do this and go do that for convenience. You know what I'm saying? But at one time when they was breeding my ancestors, they ain't had no choice to kill the ones who owned them kids. You think they would have did it? They probably would have did it, but they had to have them. And once they had to have them, then they had to sell them. And this aboard Planned Parenthood was founded by Margaret Singer, eugenics. She knew exactly what she was doing. She wanted to exterminate my people, and that's why they brought them to my neighborhood. But back to my Haitian people. Now, why did the state of Ohio have to go way to Haiti to get some people to work when my people have been in Cleveland, Ohio, Akron, Dayton, all over that state? Why didn't they try to employ them? Because we got the highest unemployment rate, and it's not because we just all criminals, and it's not because we don't want to work. And they are in factories and they paying them good. Now they establish some neighborhoods. Why they ain't choose us? Why didn't choose my people? That's
Okay,
my
you have a lot of topics there, and let me see if I can tackle them one at a time. First of all, let's go ahead and tackle the Haitian issue first, and employment. What is found many times, Jacob, is that the jobs that foreigners or people that are immigrants would do here in the United States, many times for the employer, what happens is Americans themselves, born Americans, uh, don't many a times don't want to do it or don't do it. They start to do it and then they say, I don't want this anymore. So what they find is that a more willing immigrant population that is willing to do a certain kind of job. That's just a statement of fact, right? I mean, if you take a look at you may ask a question like, why is it that most of the people that are cutting grass and so forth around Houston are people from my part of the world, Central America, etc. And that is because again, it's they these are people that come here and are willing to do just about anything. Uh, and this is not a plus or minus. This is just the way things are. You know, Americans are. It's a rich country, and a lot of people that are born here feel I don't need to do that, or I just won't do that. You know, so
that's
that's. Go ahead, sir. I'm
I
sorry.
think that's a myth. I, I think that is a myth. Who was doing it before 1967, 68 when
Okay,
we implemented
let me give
when
you an
female
example,
when female
sir.
implemented when female
Jacob, I heard. Let me answer the questions that you asked. You said it's a myth, right? Let me tell you what happened. I had when I lived in the Ailey portion of town, there was this lieutenant colonel that formed a company to cut grass, and he started by himself. He would go out there and he would cut grass, and he came and he did my yard. I remember, and I don't remember how. I think I paid $25 for my yard, and he would do like 10 yards right on the same streets with me, and it was $25 every time he cut the yard, something of that nature, right? And he started, and this was I don't like to bring race into it, but this was a black guy, a colonel, and he started, he started this company, and he started working by himself. Then he started hiring people, and he started hiring all kind of folk, black folk, white folk, every kind of folks hired. But every time he came, he had a different crew. And you know me, I ask a lot of questions, that sort of stuff. I'm like, hey, how comes you always have these different people? He said nobody stays. They don't want to do this kind of work. They're broke. They kind of do this, make a few bucks, and then they leave. But then he went ahead and he got this crew that's from Latin America, And this has been his most consistent crew because this, I mean, the appreciation of being in the States and a lot of other reasons, they were consistent with him. So this guy,
I
most of the
understand that.
times, when
That's a great.
go ahead.
Yeah, that's an example. That's one example. What I'm saying is, before, like I said, before we implemented my people implemented and got the bill signed from the
Hmm.
president for them to be here, we was doing it. They wasn't doing it because they wasn't here. And the grass getting cut didn't start in '70s, '80s, or '90s, or 2000s. Who was doing it in the '50s? Who was doing it in the '30s? And I can see far as and the ones who picking the grapes and the this and the that. Okay,
Uh-huh.
but these are factories. These are factories workers in Ohio. These are not agriculture workers. These are factory jobs. Factory jobs, and I guarantee you, if they would have opened it up to the state, to black people in Cleveland, Akron, Dayton, and all throughout the state of Ohio, if they would have opened up to them and welcomed them in, and set up places for them to stay and give them a neighborhood and stuff like that, they would have won. And that's just
Okay.
it. All
No,
right, so and
Jacob, let me tell you what I can't answer. What I can't answer, Jacob, what I can't answer, which is worth researching, and I think what you just mentioned, right, is worth researching. In other words, I
yeah, okay,
think,
all right. I'm gonna
let,
listen.
let me let me finish, Jacob. Please let me talk.
Yes, sir.
What you
Yes,
just
sir.
said, what you just said, is something that should be researched. In other words, if Haitians are taking jobs from black people or whomever, because not because of some business reason, meaning a consistency reason or otherwise, that should be investigated, right? But I believe we always have to look at data. Okay, but what you're saying does
I
have
ain't got no
merit.
problem
No,
with
no,
it,
wait,
though.
wait, Jacob. What
Yeah,
you're
I
saying?
don't have any
Listen to me,
problem with them.
Jacob. Listen to
I,
what I'm saying, please, sir. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying the question, the statements that you're making should always be researched to make, because it's a two-way street, right? It could be that a lot of these employers want Haitians because they can abuse them while they can't abuse, let's say, the black population in Cleveland, right? If that is the case, that creates an unfair working environment, right? Because what it means is it's working on the abuse of a, a immigrant, so meaning pay them less, etc., as a which, believe it or not, is a employment,
right.
what
Yeah.
so I
But see,
understand that. I understand that. So that is something to be researched. So let's leave that subject. The other subject that you brought up was a woman. That this is one that I have a very I'm very I don't play about this one.
okay.
It's a woman's body. You and I, as men, you said, oh well, you inseminated this woman, right? And you have claim to the whatever is growing inside of her. No, you don't, because
Whatever. What's
it
putting
can't
on my
grow inside
daughter?
of you.
Whatever.
Say that.
As a
You know what
man,
is that,
it's my,
Jacob, you know what, Jacob, one at a time, Jacob, you know what is
it's my
interesting?
sperm cell.
Jacob, here's what's interesting. A lot of men that think like you, and I'm not saying this is you, but I'm saying a lot of men who think like you, they always want to have that right over a woman. When
The
that
right
woman
thing
is,
to be
let me
mutual.
let me finish.
Mutual.
Sir, I heard you the first time. Let me finish, please, sir. When that woman is pregnant, you are off doing, I'm not talking you, Patch, I'm talking the person. Somebody's off doing something. Are you there taking care of that woman? Are you there investing in that woman who is going through, has to decide if they're gonna allow that child to come into fruition or not? You see, a lot of men, they have big mouths. They want to have dominion over what's happening to that woman's body. But when it comes time to take care of that woman and that baby, neither the
When
government.
it, when, see,
Wait. Let me
when it
finish.
comes up,
Sir,
okay,
look, Jacob,
okay.
you have to let me finish, brother, please.
I said, I got
Uh,
you. I said, I got
okay,
you.
thank you. Here's the deal. When it's time to take care of that woman to make her whole, neither government or man is there many times. So as that woman's right, she should be able to do whatever she feels is right between her and her God, not you, because no
Hey, wait
man
a minute.
is you.
It ain't doing what's right. But I have a right as a man. If I lay with you and you killing my baby, what you mean?
No,
That's
you
my
have no.
seed.
No, no.
When I had sex
You
with her,
have no,
and my seed was
sir.
developed, it would come from sex.
My brother, let me tell you, there's a lot of things that you leave out there, not because you have a touch or a present gives you dominion or control. The only time you have control of that baby is when that baby is born, and then you take care of that baby. But but otherwise, and
That's
this is going to sound bad. This is going to sound bad, but scientifically, it is true. A baby is wholly dependent on the body of its source, and I'll let folks define what that means. But you have no right to a woman's body, period. A woman decides if
it's
she
not. I don't
wants
have
something growing in her or not.
like this. It's not something. You keep saying something. You know what I need? That's all they need to do to show everybody. Show the dead fetus from these Planned Parenthood. Show the bucket. Don't show the trash cans of these babies. Show that.
Well,
And
you
that's
know
why
what? Let me tell you
all
something.
of that's why it's murder.
I,
That's why it's murder.
let me just
You
say
know,
let me
it's
just say
murder.
that. Let me just say this. It's amazing that you said that, right? Because we show dead bodies of many dead bodies in the streets of Atlanta, dead bodies in the streets of Gaza, dead bodies everywhere. We don't see a lot of people raising hell about it. It's only when it comes to this
We don't
specific
see dead
woman's
bodies
body.
like that, bro.
But
That's
hey,
not true. Dead
brother,
things happen. Dead bodies
bro,
in right now in
brother,
Israel. So, what
brother,
you talking about? We don't see that now.
brother,
Now, be honest.
brother,
All right, man.
brother.
I'm gonna
When
get you.
I
Yeah.
don't only speak when I say you, right? I'm not speaking about you, Jacob. I'm speaking about the population in the aggregate. So please don't take these conversations personally. But I need to go
No,
to
of
other
course not.
calls. Jacob, I
All
need to
right.
go to
Okay.
other
No
calls.
problem.
But you brought in
Got
some
you.
very.
Okay, man.
Hey, wait. You brought a very important point. That Haitian study was an important point that I talk about. Let's go to Brother Ray. Come on in, Ray.
Oh, brother Egberto, I feel your energy from the phone right here. And let me tell you, I want to rebut to brother Jacob because you know what? This morning, right now, I want to evoke my dear mother. And my dear mother had a strong opinion about black conservatives. In the interest of this radio station, I'm going to keep it censored, and I'm just going to say they're knuckleheads. And everything he said, he sounded like a knucklehead because I was listening to a monologue before I got on your show from Lawrence O'Donnell. And that monologue included a clip from Donald Trump when he had an interview with Howard Stern. And he had a conversation with his then girlfriend at the time when she had informed him that she was pregnant. And his exact words were, "What are we going to do about this?"
Mm-hmm.
To that,
Yep.
Lawrence
Yep.
O'Donnell had rebutted. Guess what? The man who went and appointed 3 conservative judges that made sure that abortion was no longer an option at the federal level where it was protected for over 50 years, Donald Trump took away that conversation for himself and, well, not himself really, let's be real, but men like me and men like Jacob, if he wanted to have that conversation. We know what your opinion is on abortion, Jacob. You say, my seed is in her. I got dominion over her body. That's bullcorn. I'm really, and I feel what you was feeling, Egberto. That made me very upset because the reason why black conservatives, they disgust me in a way that just, like I say, my dear mother had a very strongly negative opinion on them, and I feel that in my spirit right now. And it's like, basically, you're sitting here saying, once I put my seed in that woman's body, I own her body. That's bullcorn. But I'll shout from the other side. What if I don't want my seed in that woman's body? I should have the right to have that conversation about what are we going to do about it. But because of Donald Trump and raggedy Greg Abbott, I don't have that conversation as an option. Thank you, Jacob. You, you knucklehead. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thank you, Ray.
Yeah,
Ray, let me just say to answer you in one thing. I will not, like I said, it is important for us to see what you just spoke about. You don't own that body. You have a relationship with a woman, and suddenly you think you have dominion over. And thank you for that. I am so glad we have a lot of younger people coming up now that actually respects the agency of every person, irrespective of gender. So thank you, my brother. You have a good one. Okay.
yeah, I will. I will try, but Jacob, you make me sick. But one day, you might see me in your neighborhood, so we'll have a conversation if that does happen. But
Well,
y'all
yeah,
have a
we
good
need
day.
we need you on we need you doing that leg walk, brother. Thank you, Ray. Let's go to brother Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, sir.
All right, to Jacob, I know it's already been said, but one thing I'd like to point out is if a woman accidentally gets pregnant, it's her fault for the way she dressed. It's her fault for being too friendly. It's her fault for this. It's her fault for that. And people like Jacob would like to see her forced into having a child. Now, if Jacob gets somebody pregnant, then he also thinks that they should be forced to have a child. It doesn't make sense, and there's also not a social safety net set up for most of those people. But that's not what I want to go into. I want to touch on one other thing I heard on the Zoom, Egberto.
Yes, sir.
More and more, I'm hearing communism brought up, and I don't ever hear you correct anybody. Communism and socialism are two very different things. Socialism existed way before communism did. And in the 1910s in the United States, one of the biggest socialist movements was in existence. And the way it was stopped was through violence and suppression, not because it wasn't people's choice, but out of violence. Now,
What you just said is important. People like to make believe that when people have any kind of socialism structure, that the socialism structure comes in violently. It's actually the opposite direction that normally happens. Okay, go ahead, Patrick.
also, I spammed you on Friday about industrial farming and Bill Gates. I don't know if you got to read any of it.
I didn't get to read it, but I did get it. Yes, I did get it, but I didn't get a chance to read it.
Well, we can talk about that another time then.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. But look, thanks for anything else you want to say, Patrick, before I jump to Bart?
Yes, you also said this in so many words, but the Haitians were brought in because it would be easier to take advantage of them. That's what capitalism does. It looks for the most desperate to pay them the least. So, Jacob's upset at our current policies and our current political system, not the Haitians.
Right. That's why I told Jacob that topic that he brought up was important and needed research, because he brought up a good point. Hey, there are a lot of folks here in Cleveland that need jobs, and and that is where people can take advantage of this immigration issue if it is not spoken about correctly. There's another part of the Haitian equation that nobody wants to talk about. The reason you have the Haitian refugees and the violence in Asia has a lot to do with American policy, from Clinton's rice policy to other things. We can look at what NAFTA did to a lot of the Central and South American countries. Central American countries. There is a whole lot there that we are responsible for when we see this migration. But unfortunately, because we are taught not to think critically, we don't see what make things causal. And one of the things I hope to accomplish with the way we have these discussions is for people to expand their minds, and then they can expand the minds of others. But anyway, thank you very much, Patrick, for your call. Let's go to Bart. Come on in, brother Bart. Bard, you're on.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Haiti and the Dominican Republic share an island, and there's a border wall between the two. And the Dominican Republic will not let Haitians on their side of the island. They will literally kill them. The Haitians have cut down every tree, every blade of grass. There is nothing left. Every time it rains, there's a mudslide in the city because there's nothing to hold back the erosion. And then literally, if you would, Egberto, I'd like for you to follow this guy on Twitter. His handle is Cancel This Clothing Company. It's all one word, Cancel This Clothing Company. He explains what's going on with these Haitians. They're not here to mow grass. These guys aren't even smart enough to put gas in a lawnmower. I mow my own grass, Egberto. The governor of Ohio his wife has schools in Haiti, just similar to I don't know if you remember 15 years ago there was an earthquake in Haiti and you were told to text the word Haiti to the Red Cross and they would take $10 out of our account and give it to the Haitians. It came up to I believe $21 million. Does anybody know what ever happened to that $21 million? You know, there's some nefarious things going on with these Haitians. They're here to vote Democrat, just like that dummy you just had on Ray. He's a plantation guy, you know. He'll vote Democrat no matter what.
All right. Hold on a second. Bard. You know, the good thing about myself is that I am not only an American, but I'm well versed in Latin, South America, the Caribbean, etc. I share all those ethnicities, if you will. And much of what you just said is hogwash. Okay, I'll say that humbly, but most of what you just said is hogwash. They are things that you read on right-wing rags that make absolutely no sense. Everything that you just said is false. There's no wall between no wall that extends between on the island of Hispaniola, which is where Haiti and the Dominican Republic lies. It's a long border, and no, there's no damn wall between there. Now there is a difference in the way both of these countries are treated, because one was under the Spanish and one was under the French, and the one that was under the French was the first black country in the entire hemisphere. They fought for their freedom and they've had to pay the price for freeing themselves because America and France was scared that all these other blacks in the different areas, from Brazil to Jamaica to Panama to the United States, would see that these guys freed themselves, and they've been made to pay a price since. Learn your history. After they liberated themselves, the reason they're a poor country is they constantly had to pay for their freedom to France. Something very few people, because remember, they were called property. So that France doesn't come with the whole I'm not done. Don't call with their own invasion from the European countries. They had to go ahead and pay with their resources. There's a reason why Haiti is in shambles as it is, and it has nothing to do with the pigmentation of the people. It has everything to do with their history. Learn your history, Bard, before you spew a lot of the ridiculous statements that you've said. I have a lot of other callers. We'll talk another day. But you're absolutely wrong. Let's go to Lynette. Come on in, Lynette.
Good morning, and thank you all. I'm going to keep this really simple. I just wanted to say, why is it that a man has no responsibility when it comes to when it comes to a woman having a child? They have to pull their organ out before it goes in to create the child. So before they do that, they should consider the cost and pay the $250,000 once the child is born, the cost of what it takes to raise a child from zero, from birth to graduation. And I think that this is always a one-sided conversation
Yes.
of putting men in charge. That's all I have to say. Thank you so
Okay,
much. Have
Lynette,
a
don't
great
Lynette, I want to say thank you. And thank you for calling and saying that. I did need to hear from a woman on this issue. I appreciate you and thank you for stating a fact. Men have a tendency to believe in the patriarchy that somehow we are supposed to be in charge of everything. Well, you know what? The way the system was created, you are in charge. You decide what you want to do. No man tells you what to do. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Donald. Come on in, Donald.
Good morning, Alberto. How are you today?
I am doing fine, my dear brother. Talk to me.
Okay, David Pakman's got his books for kids on voting and stuff. You need to write a book. You got Dr. Zeus. We're going to do Dr. Willis. And we will have, instead of cat in the hat, cat in the pot. And you can explain the rhetoric behind what they're doing. Now, on the subject, both those two guys are right, okay? If you go to the jail, not jails, but prisons, there's a lot of immigrants that are jailers and stuff like that, or prison guards. And the problem is they come in with a clean slate. They haven't been in the system yet. They don't have dings on them. Our whole system is rigged. And when you say we, you said Clinton, it's actually they came up with the policies and crap that screwed everything up, and now we're taking care of it. Yes, we are taking care of it, but they created the problem. See, whenever there's a problem, you say we. As Americans, I've heard Johnny say it, I've heard other people say it, because as a whole, we get wrapped up in their bad decisions. We need to start putting the responsibility where it lays, and that's
Donald,
with what they're doing
I
in
agree.
Washington.
Donald, you know something? You made an excellent point because these politicians screw things up and then I say we. All right. So you made an excellent point.
Yes.
Hey, I'm full, brother. I'm full. I got to go. Let me go
All
ahead.
right, later.
Thank you, brother. Peace. Let's go ahead and go to Derek. Come on in, Derek.
Hey, good morning. Robert, after listening to the callers this morning, I just want to say this here. The United States itself, you all act like that everything just started popping up. Don't you know, man, that every president, whether Democrat or Republican, is responsible for some of this mess up, because you don't get to know $34 trillion by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
None of y'all have done right.
Right.
That's a huge debt. And as for, I want to say too, at some point in time, you got to stop being dumb devils following behind wise Satan. You're gonna have to stop this, man. I'm listening to what the guys were saying about Haiti. Person, let me tell you something, America, and show you just how hypocritical we all can be in this nation. Is that you want to talk about somebody eating on cats. But wait a minute. Did you know that you eating on a grafted animal every time you put on your plate? Did you know that the pork pig consists of 3 different animals, cat, rat, and dog, and you want to talk about somebody eating cat? You've been doing it the whole time. So stop this crazy madness. I'm glad that this type of issues have been coming out, because now it's giving you the opportunity to go into the science and look at just what in the world have you been eating all this old time. That's all I call to say, bro.
Thank you, Derek. I'm filled up. All lines are filled. Thank you, my brother. Let's jump to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Real quickly, some housekeeping as far as Donald is concerned. With all due respect, Donald, I give you some credit for having the ability to think in nuanced, where I don't have to spoon feed you at every turn. I don't have to clarify everything I say. It's up to you to understand that I talk in the royal we, not literal we, okay? So just get over it, okay? For Christ's sakes.
Thank you, Johnny.
Bye.
Thank you, brother Johnny. Before I go to Peter, let me just say welcome, Billy, Allison, Irwin, Eric Hayes, and Allison Allison, thank you so kindly for being here on the chat. Let's go to brother Peter. Peter, 1 minute. I'm running out of time.
Thank you for letting me be the voice of reason. And there's no such thing as open borders, guys. Sorry to tell you that. It's go to the border. It's closed. There's a gate. You got to see an immigration officer. And then I just had a question for you, Egberto. So one of my right-wing friends is talking about 250,000 children being sold into sex slavery, but I could find nothing about it other than a claim by Laura Ingraham years ago. So have you heard anything about this?
No, look, let me just tell you that we have two sorts of news here. One that makes no sense. They just pull stuff out of the air and create it. Welcome aboard, Mark Connor. They just pull it out of the air. And that's what we have. When we hear some of the things that Bard say, some of the things that Brian say, it is hard. It is almost like whack-a-mole, because you have a right-wing engine that is well-funded, and this is very well-funded, that just puts out misinformation. And since some of our followers also have trust in these false prophets, we have to tackle them. My goal is not necessarily to change Bard's opinion or Brian's opinions or any of these right-wingers' opinions. My thing is simply to stunt their ability to misinform others. So I try to mitigate that. But Peter, I'm full. I got to go. Folks, Peter is running in CD2. Real quick.
So much. It's completely a false claim, right? Yeah, so in other words, it's a complete false claim.
It's false. It's false. There is no truth to it. Okay, thank you, brother. All right. Let's jump to Ray. Ray, you got 30 seconds because you've been here before, and I got to go to Brian and Patrick. 30 seconds, brother.
All right, 3 things super quick. Bard, you funny. And I will try to get on ask Egberto next time. And the last thing, for Jacob. Now, let's say you get into a situation where you got a woman who's going to carry your seed fully intentionally to do so, but she gets in a car accident or some random medical issue, and she can't get the treatment, and she has to suffer with your baby because of some obscure medical law by the Republicans.
There you
Think
go.
about that.
Thank you, Ray. Let's go 30 seconds, Patrick. Oh, Brian, I'm sorry. Come on in, Brian.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just want to bring up a point that you brought up yesterday about the medication.
Yes.
Why is it $1,000 here? Okay. It's subsidized medicine, man.
Oh, there you go. And what's wrong with subsidized medicine?
Well, here, that's not the point. The point is you said that we pay $1,000 for medication here, and the UK pays $92.
Yes.
It's subsidized. They still pay it.
No, they don't. I know what the bottom line, the bottom figure is. All right, Brian. Brian, again, Brian, America pays more. No, Brian, if you take a look at
they pay the same.
Brian, you can look this. Brian, Brian, you can look this. Brian, you can look this stuff up. They don't. The NHS, which is it's a company who buys the drugs in England. The NHS, folks. Again, you have to stop allowing the right wing to make you not smart. The NHS has a list of drugs that they allow and how much they pay for it. They're not paying $1,350 for that drug. The baseline price to England is exactly as I told you. And yes, everything is subsidized in the medical field like it should be here in the United States. We are foolish not to have it that way and allow the capitalist corporations to simply take us to the cleaners as they are themselves subsidized. Let's go to Patrick.
Hey, I wanted to refer to Bart. Bart focused on Haitians as far as denuding their landscape. That's something that everybody does. That's something that everybody does when they don't have rules. That's why we need the EPA. That's why we need to ask questions about how many kids we should have and things like that. If you point to the Middle East on a globe, it's nothing but sand. But that's where people started out. It's described 2,000 years ago as the land of milk and honey. The Lebanese flag has a cedar tree on it because of how important the export of trees was there. anywhere people have been that don't have control and don't have rules, turn the place into deserts. That's what we do. That's why we need rules. That's why we have to ask each other hard questions.
And you know,
No different than anybody else.
I want to add to that, and rules are called regulations. So when you hear people talk about not wanting regulations, remember what happens. What happens in West Texas? No regulations of that matter. You pollute the water. The companies are gone. The ranchers are left with the slop that is left. Thank you for that, Patrick. Let me go to the studio now for us to close our show down. Go ahead, my brothers in the studio.
Oh, nothing from me, except for the general manager's report coming up on U-Talk this morning from 8 until 9. Sandy's already here preparing his report, and he's going to have that ready for us in just a little while. Also, the Under the Volcano remote coming up with Clint Broussard on Sunday from 5 until 7. Blues and High Five will be live on location. Jack, what you got, man?
It's time to vote. Get yourself registered and get out there and vote. It's an important vote this time.
Very important, but I would say between life and death.
Actually, Jack, thank you for always reminding us at the end of the show. People, go register to vote. You have about 20-something days left to register to vote. Please do that. Go to harrisvotes. I think it's harrisvotes.org, but it's not hard to find. Go register to vote. Alice Aaron Dreams says in the chat says he doesn't understand that pill costs a couple of dollars to make. They charge us way more because we let them get away with it, and that's true. It costs $5 to make a month's worth of what is it? Ozempic. Remember, $5. Likewise, Neo Maxim says every time these right wingers call in, they're so emotional, completely ruled by their emotions and feelings. Lissarian Dream says, I agree, Neo. Brian is teary eyed, mad, thinking he has a great point. He doesn't. Again, he's wrong, but we got to get out of here, folks. I love you all. Please keep calling. I don't care if you're on the left, the right, or whatever. This is how we get educated. I get educated. You get educated. That's what we do. Love you all. My name is but I can say the rest of the show, the videos are at politicsandright.com/newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. In a dubious decision, the Ohio Supreme Court mostly upheld the state ballot board's intentionally misleading description for a citizen redistricting commission measure on the November ballot. The Ohio Ballot Board, chaired by notoriously partisan Secretary of State Frank LaRose, threw out Measure 1.
Recording.